Good afternoon, everybody. This is John and Alex, and another Wednesday edition of Office Hours. Today on the Office Hours show, the Huff Post thinks Alex is a cool cat, and so do we. We Googled Denis Labelle because he's always told us to, and we actually know what he does now. Know a lot more about Denis, and we're very happy about that. The Craig and Chris show on our Friday show. It'll be a show about a show in a show. It's going to be fun. We're really looking forward to having these guys on our show. They have been working the YouTube world and web broadcasting for a lot longer than we have, and we're going to talk to them about crowdfunding and continuing efforts and YouTube and all of this incredible stuff. Looking forward to talking to these guys. And then we've got a McAvoy monologue where I'm going to answer Ronnie Bincer's question. All of this and more on the Office Hours show Wednesday edition. But right now, I'd like to say hello to Alex. Hey, how are you?
Better than you're gonna be. So Todd says audio question mark.
Ask Todd if we've got audio now. Todd, do we have audio now? Totally my fault, Alex. Everybody out there, I completely biffed the opening, which is not good. This was supposed to be a great example of what we can do for the Friday show. That's all right.
It wouldn't be one of our shows if if everything went right, it would just be like, what? No, no.
Well, we
can't happen.
Yeah, you're right. We should have audio at this point, so I hope so. Again, my fault. Okay, let's start this again. Hey, everybody. It's the Office Hours show. I hope you can hear me. Todd, let me know. And the intros, we're going to talk about what the Huff Post thinks of Alex. We Googled Denis Labelle. We've got to talk about the Craig and Chris show, which we'll have on our Friday show. And I've got a McAvoy moment to answer Ronnie Bincer's question. That and a lot more, again, on the second start of the Wednesday Office Hours show. And
we have audio.
Do we?
Yay.
We have audio.
Yeah, this time it only took 2 times. Usually it takes like 3 or 4 or 10.
Hi, everybody. I really do start prepping for these shows hours before they start. It's just...
Oh, wait. Todd says, nope, in a loop of some type?
Shouldn't be at this point. Actually, shouldn't be at this point. He's...
In a loop.
It's all right.
Oh, he's writing another message.
No, it should be fixed. It should clear up.
The suspense is killing me.
I know. Yes, there's a little bit of loop that happened in there, and we were streaming the whole time, and I'm sure it's going to clear up at some point, and hopefully it does. If we are looping, are we looping now? We shouldn't be.
He says the streaming is buffering very badly, which means nothing to me. It's just a string of words, but I'm sure it means something to you.
Well, let's see. According to the YouTube streaming information on the live control room, it says the stream is good, that we're pushing our 1080p stream. But again, we're dealing with YouTube servers, so who knows? And we've had Wirecast crash on us, 3 times in the last hour? So
Yeah, pretty much. Luckily, we started an hour early. Todd said cuts in and out video in a loop at welcome screen.
Okay, that's a little strange. So people aren't getting this shot here of you and me? No?
There it goes, all better.
Okay, good. Well, God knows how long we've been babbling this stuff.
How do these things happen, folks? Magic. That's how.
Yes, it is how. This is not This is not a hangout. This is not an HOA. This is web broadcasting, where we take a hangout or an HOA, bring it inside software like Wirecast, complicate the shit out of everything in the hopes of bringing you a better show with more interesting content. Obviously, this one didn't start so well, but the value, if we can pull it off, is immense. And you know that we've been doing this for months. So when you're thinking about starting this on your own, come talk to us. This is actually what we help other people do. This show is our functional example of mistakes. That is exactly why it exists. All right. Let's move on to the show. How about that?
Fantastic idea. Todd says, do not trust YouTube. Snicker.
Todd, I am right there with you. I love YouTube, and boy, am I way out of frame in this shot. Here, we'll go this way. There we go. Hi, everybody. I love YouTube, but we plan on broadcasting to other services because we know we need to rely on more than one streaming service. YouTube is where we want to hang our hat, but it's also a free service. And so I'm just going to say that right off the bat. Anybody that's looking at doing this and getting into this professionally, yes, YouTube is the place to start, but eventually you're going to want to host your own video somewhere where you have full control of everything going on. We are not to that point yet. A lot of people aren't. YouTube is where you start with it. All right, what do we got to talk about, Alex? We got a different configuration today because of what we're doing. I didn't announce our sponsors, so let's take care of these guys real quick. We'll start with Hang 3 Productions, which happens to be the little company that Alex and I and Simon and a couple other people have put together to help people understand how produced Hangouts function, what they are, and how you take a Hangout and make it a web broadcast. So this is sponsored by Hang 3 Productions because that's us. Also, Wheatmark. Wheatmark Book Publishing, they help independent authors publish their books, and they have an author academy that Alex and I have invested time in, and we do videos for these guys. Anybody out there watching from the Wheatmark group, say hello to Attila and Grail. They're out of Arizona, and we like those guys a lot. They're sponsors. Also, Wirecast. That's how we run this show. Although it crashed 3 times on us today, that's not a problem with Wirecast. That's the fact that we are still in the early stages of how all of this stuff goes together. All right? If it were simple, everybody would be doing a show. It's not simple. It takes really badass software like Wirecast, coupled with about 10,000 other things to make it go. So, thank you, Wirecast, for at least being badass, even though you crashed a few times today. And by the Google world, because without Google, we wouldn't be doing this at all. It's not just about the search engine. It's not just about the free array of services. It's the fact that we are communicating with each other worldwide in real time. And quite frankly, it has to do with what Google's done to the web. That's why. So we thank Google. All right. Got through all of those. It's about time, right?
Awesome possum. Todd asks, what is with the dino hair today? Friendly diversionary question. That's to you, John.
The what?
My hair is great every day.
What's wrong with my hair, Todd? What?
He said, what is with the dino hair?
Dino?
Maybe it's Dino, and I don't get it.
It's old. I need to get a haircut. That's all I can think of. I need to get a haircut. Which I really do. Here, there's Alex. Look at her hair. She's got beautiful hair. She's
beautiful,
gorgeous and young. And okay, where's? Oh, here's the. So are we into shout-outs? I'm sorry. No, we just did sponsors. Here we go. Ready? Here's good news and shout-outs.
Yeah, so we're into good news, right?
Right. Well, I'm running the transition. So boom. There. That's an example of crazy transitions. Actually, I made that, if you couldn't tell, with the graphic awesomeness there. But those kind of transitions, that's part of running these kind of shows. I just had to throw that out there. So now we're going to talk about good people. And the first good people or good news has to do with you. Right, Alex? And
the Huffington Post, right? That's the first one?
Yep. Go for it.
Oh, my God. Okay, so this happened like 2 weeks ago, but it's still up there with my good news. It was awesome. The Huff Post put out a plus post like asking people like who their cool cats in Google Plus were. And in the comments, they were like, people such as, and I got mentioned by the Huff Post. why is this exciting for me? Because every single one of my students has cited the Huff Post in one of their speeches, so I know they're important to them, which inadvertently makes me cool to my students. So it felt awesome. For once in my life, my students thought I was cool.
Yes, outstanding. It was really cool actually, and I'll just do an added shout out to Rappa. Okay, Matthew Rappaport. I'm way too old to be hip and cool like you, but nice to know you, and I'm glad you're hanging with the Huff Post. So he was. Did you see the Kathy Griffin thing he posted yesterday?
I didn't watch it. I saw it originally. I think the Huff Post posted it, and then he
Well, he
posted it as himself.
yeah. I forget who did the actual what was it? Who did the actual interview? I don't. But I saw the interview. But I thought it was kind of them to bleep everything out. But I was having fun with it. Like I said, the nice thing is there's no FCC here. It doesn't really matter, right? She can drop F bombs all day. It's the HuffPost choice to bleep those out for their viewers, and that's a very important piece about web broadcasting. We have to follow Google's guidelines, not the federal government's guidelines. It's kind of nice. All right, Glass in the Class is over.
Okay. By the way, I just lost one of your cameras in here. I don't know if that means that we lost it completely.
Was it showing you anything important?
It was the one that I could see you in,
No.
but
Right.
I don't need to see you.
No, it
It's
actually just said your computer restarted because of an error, so I have no idea what it. Uh, and I'm sitting here
interesting.
trying to fix this while I have me on the camera. That's not looking good. I'll fix that later. This is weird. Um,
Okay. Okay. So just keep going, is what you're telling me?
yes, keep going. Sorry you don't get to see me anymore. I apologize.
It's
You
okay.
know what I look like.
Yeah. I just can't see your facial expressions, but that's okay. So we're on to Glass in the Class. So last week was absolutely crazy for me, because, like a genius, I decided to do two Glass in the Class in the same week. Both of them were awesome. Martin Shervington on Tuesday, and then we did Yifat Cohen on Thursday, and they both, well, Martin talked about group communication, and Yifat just talked about communication and technology in general. Because of the craziness of last week, I am catching up on my own. Reminder, Alex is a student too. So I'm catching up on my student duties. So there won't be any more Glass in the Class for this semester. That's it for this term. But I start teaching again in June, so it's not a long wait until we start it again. But for now, we're letting Glass in the Class rest, at least in the classroom. Todd Labelle has been doing incredible things for Glass in the
Oh, yes,
Class.
he
He
has.
created a flipboard for it, and he also created a medium, which I don't really know what it is, but it looks cool. But it's really awesome that since I don't have the time to really focus on Glass in the Class, it's so awesome of him to kind of take the torch and keep reminding people, keep it in everybody's eyes and ears, and just spreading it through the internet the best way that he knows how. I mean, this guy knows how to do graphics, and he knows Flipboard like the back of his hand. So I really appreciate him doing that.
Yes. Thank you so much, Todd. And I fixed the camera shot while you were doing that, so thank you for being
Yeah, now I
extra
can see you.
help. Yes, you can. this this it's so important. I mean, you don't understand what's going on in the back end, so that Alex and I can actually see each other while we have this conversation. That's part of what makes this web broadcasting and not just a hangout on air. But it really helps when we can actually see what each other are doing and saying. I have it easy because I'm looking at Wirecast, so I can see everything, all the shots, and what's going on. I actually see like 9 different versions of Alex's head moving up and down and doing things. So anyway, yeah, where are we at? Sorry, I was a little lost because I was shifting that over. I'm not doing a good job as a host today, Alex.
We're supposed to hint towards. So we did our Glass in the Class with Yifat,
Right.
and she saw what we are doing with Hangouts, and she loved it.
Yes, she did. This is okay. So what we're talking about here is Yifat Cohen. Alex and her have become good friends. I mean, we've known Yifat for a long time in Google Plus. She was one of I don't know when she got Google Glass, but she's been around a lot longer than we have in this world. She's just huge, incredible host, does amazing things, and she's part of the same tribe of people that help each other. And that's one of the reasons why we hang out with her and like her so much, is that she is about help first, right? And I didn't even tell you this, Alex. We had a conversation earlier today, and we were both acknowledging that that's kind of one of our most awesome things and one of our weak points in terms of how we function. And that's, I think a lot of us are experiencing that. And I want to talk to Craig and Chris about that. It's Friday. I bet you they're kind of in the same odd boat, right? The point of this was that we are working now with Yifat. We are producing her new show, and this is what we do. Outside of our shows and helping people in our community through Hang3 Productions and SEOWiSE combined, we are offering production facilities, production capabilities, or consulting, help you build a studio set. This is what we do, and so we're working with Yifat now. Very excited about that. I'm going to let her make the big announcement on the shows that we have coming up. But she has really awesome guests. She's got a big audience, and we are really excited to be a part of that. Do you want to add anything else to that, Alex?
No, I think everyone out there knows how I feel about Yifat. I love her. I love her so much. I will meet her someday, hopefully soon. I'll get to travel down to Texas.
Yes, we're going to work on that. We're going to figure that one out. We're going to get you down there. I'd like to go too. We'll at least get you down there to hang out with her. Have a semi-hangout in real life. Because I got to keep the studio here, you know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
All right, so look for more from Yifat Cohen and us as we move on into later months. Let's see, where are we at now? We are at... oh, yeah, you mentioned all that. You talked about that. Did you say... So with Glass in the Class, are we bringing that back in June? Is it June?
I don't know if we'll get it back in the class as early as June. I start teaching around June 6th, but of course I have to go through all of the handing out waivers, and I have to wait the first 2 weeks, or the first week at least, because they can drop my class for a bit. So I have to go through all that again. I'm going to have to do that every single term because new students. So I don't know if we'll do it in June. It'll definitely be starting again by July. But since I only have 8 weeks, it's an 8-week term instead of what I usually have, which is 16 weeks. It'll be much more condensed, so I'll probably actually do multiple, if we can handle it, multiple episodes within a week, because I'm covering multiple topics within a week over summer. But I have it's a traditional lecture setting, so I have a lot more time with them.
That's cool. All right, so yes, we can do that. We'll make that work. I just want to do a shout out right now. If you're in part of administration at Kent University and you can help us out, that would be great. If you're with Google and you can help us out connecting with Kent University and making this go a little better, a little smoother, that would be great. If you're neither one of those, but you're another educator with a college and you would like to do something with this, you would like to be a part of Glass in the Class, we are here to help. Yeah, it takes funding, but the more important thing is that we deliver education. So get in touch with us, talk to us. We're here to help facilitate it, figure out how we can work together. Obviously we've got one pair of glass and we've got one studio. So we can talk about what we do with that. With that. And the one pair of glass stays at Kent. So we can bring in other departments or anything that Alex can drive to. But the idea here is to keep this going. There are, and I want to say something else. I know there are other people doing what's called Glass in the Class. We're not trying to compete. This is about education. We're not competing with anybody. This is about delivering something that we think is more valuable than the current version of what the institution delivers. Okay? This is about opening up colleges and kids' minds to what we can do today. Pull your nose out of the antiquated textbook, get online and engage in real time with real facts, with real people in the real world. To me, as somebody who's gone through traditional education and modernized education, this is a no-brainer. So we're passionate about this, and we want to help other people do this. So please, please, please get in touch with us, and we need your help. If you like what we're doing and you've got money to fund it, talk to us. And yeah, I'm being very blatant about that. All right? It takes money to make these things go. Education in this country is the last priority of our government, and it will always be the last priority of our government. They don't make any money there. So it's up to us. It's up to us to make education what it needs to be in this country. And people like us and Big Fun Education, that's what we're trying to do. So please help us. We'll talk more about this later, but I just want to make that plea for Glass in the Class. What we're doing here is about education. It's not about profit. It's not about anything but advancement of education. And it's up to us to make that happen because our country doesn't give a shit. The people we pay to run this country don't give a shit about our education. Not like this. They put just enough money into it to make it function so that we'll shut up. We need to do better than that. If education was first in this country, we wouldn't have the problems we have today. And all of us know this. All right, I'm done. Help us. Glass in the Class. June. We've got 8 weeks. There we are. All right, I'm done. That's not even the McAvoy monologue, for God's sake.
I know, you're just going to go on a bunch of rants today.
Listen, I'll be honest. After reading the comments from Chris Prillo and Craig Chamberlain and the discussions we have going on, yeah, when you've got good people working this hard to do good things for others, the way our current system functions pisses me off. We, the people, are the last people our government gives a shit about. And if you can't tell that, you need a better education, which is kind of the problem. All right. Denis Labelle, one of the coolest people on planet Earth, and we just figured out who he was. Do you want to lead into this, or do you want me to do it? I kind of need to shut up for a second, Alex.
Are we starting with why he's in our good people?
Oh, did I screw this up again? Yeah, I need to put up the graphic of you, and I put up the other graphic. Here. Let's start with that. Boom.
Okay.
Here's the shot of Denis's post with you, about you.
Okay. Well, he's in our good people because so as I mentioned, last week was a really crazy week for me with multiple Glass in the Class. It's the end of my term, so my student and my teaching and everything is just like, so I was like, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm sick. So I was not having the best week last week. And Denis Labelle made me his Women Wednesday. And it just like, I mean, the women that he has put up there, he's put Yifat Cohen. He has put Jana Nystrom, which I totally probably messed up her.
That's how I do it too.
I'm like, she's cool. Sorry. But he's recognized so many great women for Women Wednesday that it just, I mean, it made my day, it made my week. It was so sweet of him. I've been communicating with him for a while, but we'll talk a little bit later about where this post led John and I to, because it's interesting.
Yes, it is. So that's actually supposed to be part of a shout out. I kind of derailed the shout outs, didn't I? It's supposed to be a shout out to Denis. So we're going to talk a little bit more about you later, Denis. And then John Almirall. All right. So what is it you don't want me to say about? Okay. John Almirall lost his virginity on our Hangout. No, that's not what I was supposed to say.
No, it's not. Because it sounds like he had sex in our Hangout, and that's really concerning because it was just the three of us. So I'm like, who? What? No.
That app doesn't exist yet that I'm aware of. There's a Glass app for sex, though. You know that, right?
There is. Yeah. There is. I'm not trying it because it just kind of creeps me out. But
everybody, we heard that, right? Alex has said she is not going to try the Glass Sex app. That's unfortunate. Back to Almirall. John Almirall was on our show last Friday, and he's one of my best friends. He's up here in Portland. Love the guy. We had him on the show. This is the first time he's been on a live hangout, right? We've done hangouts with John privately, doing consulting, talking about things. This is the first time he's been in a live hangout, and he did great. So I just wanted to say thank you, John, for coming on. And those of you who want to know more about John Almirall, go watch our show. and then check out his website. John is awesome. So there we go. And he makes lightsabers. Damn it! Who the hell wouldn't want one of those? They're the coolest things ever.
I actually do kind of want one, but I would just be like a worthless owner of it. I would never use it. I'd just be like, yeah, I've got a lightsaber.
Well, none of us ever actually used them. We just want them, right? We just
Totally defeats the purpose of it.
They're not useful, but they should
They're
be.
not useful.
They should be. If they actually cut things, that would be great, but they don't. I mean, it's like owning a fake samurai sword on a stand, right? It's like, who gives a shit? But they're cool, so for cosplay, if you're into cosplay, John makes the kind of lightsabers that you take to a convention, and they're the shit. This isn't your Toys R Us version of a lightsaber, right? Or the Disney version, since they own that brand now. That'll be interesting to see how they deal with the merch. All right, so John Almiral, just a little conversation, a little thing about him. Craig and Chris show. Hey, I can pull up that slide. Boom. Here we go. Do we have anybody even watching the show besides Todd today that's making comments? Hi, Todd.
Well, Nicholas Cardot, who I just recently, if you are out there, I don't know if you go by Nick or Nicholas. I just recently had a conversation with him because of my reshare of David Amerlin's Sunday post. Todd brought him into the conversation, and then he hit me up to access the sources that I mentioned. But he just checked in as in going, so I don't know if he's actually here. And Annabelle Howard sometimes is floating around out there, so if you are Annabelle...
Oh, hi, everybody, whoever's out there. All right. Well, then let's see. We'll hit into the last shout-out. I've got all of my slides are messed up now. These guys, the Craig and Chris show, we will be talking to these guys on Friday. Who are they? Well, if you live in the Plus bubble with us and hang out with all of the businessy folks, you probably don't have any idea. But these guys run a very successful web show. They've got the Craig and Chris show, and then Craig Chamberlain has his tech show. He recently started what is it, Patreon? Is that how we're going to pronounce that?
Yeah, I think that's how he...
Patreon, which is a really cool crowdfunding idea. It's the same thing as Indiegogo, Kickstarter, except it's a monthly subscription. Love it. We're actually going to set up the same thing for SEOWiSE. Chris Prillo did it for his business earlier. All of us have been chatting recently, and very cool. So I want to talk to him about that. So it's Chris Keyworth and Craig Chamberlain. They do they've got a comedy show which is really funny, and I should have loaded something in reel to show people, but I didn't. They've got, well, let's see. Craig has 24,000 subscribers to his YouTube channel. These are the kind of numbers.
I don't know, because he's got so many different channels. I don't know.
So we're going to talk to him about that. They've got quite an array of YouTube places. They do a lot of video, and they're funny. These guys make really funny shit, and we like that. So we're going to talk to them about the stuff and that they do, the troubles that they've had, growing their business, scaling out, keeping overhead going, and starting the patron site, the service, which I think is great. So we're going to talk to them all about that stuff. And here you go. There's another shot. That's what you're looking at there is their YouTube channel, and then the Craig Chamberlain, the tech teacher, and that's his Patreon site. At the time I took that screenshot, I think I was patron number 3. SEOWiSE is helping out there. And the nice thing about this is their micropayments. You can do everything from $2 a month to whatever he sets up. So it's designed for everybody, and that really was a good idea because, yeah, we're SEOWiSE. So let's go into what?
I said enough said. So yes. Nick Cardot is out there.
Hi, Nick.
And yeah, it's funny because I saw that he pinged me a message about those articles, and I was like, I can't read it right now. So he left a message being like, now I know why you didn't respond. But he is asking, what program are you guys using for the visual format of your show?
Oh. Well, thanks for asking. Nick, we are using Wirecast. The frames and everything that you're looking at that I keep switching back and forth, they're layers. So you've got a front layer, which is the blue, and then there's overlays of the motion text, and our shots are brought in through various devices. It's quite an interesting array. What makes it look so nice is Wirecast. The graphics are all done by Todd Labelle. It takes a team to do all this stuff. But to answer your question, Wirecast. Wirecast allows us to broadcast out to YouTube and other streaming services. There are probably 10 billion different ways to configure things, and Wirecast is the software we chose to go with. If you're looking to get into this to start, there are some freeware versions of the software, and Wirecast for YouTube is a free download to get started just to mess with. So there you go. Awesome. Let's see. We talked about the Craig and Chris show. Are we already into the... Oh, no, we're in the Denis Labelle Just Google It section.
Yay!
Which I didn't create a transition.
I find this funny. I'm going to be really upset if everyone else is like, duh, we knew that.
Well, this is a personal journey for us, okay? We'll just... Way back when we first were introduced to Denis Labelle, we really didn't know what he did, and that's because Denis doesn't put anything on his site to really tell us. I mean, come on. Like I said, it's most everybody back in the time on their profiles was listing everything they did and links to their website. I work here and this is what I do, right? Because everybody was trying to show that. Denis was casual. What we knew about Denis was that he took the time to build these monster posts. Here, I put a video of monster posts in this shot. So that what you see scrolling there through the video, that is one of Denis's posts. Right? All of those links, all of that information. The guy is amazing. He takes the time to put this together. Truth is, Denis is one of the most powerful kinds of persons in Google Plus because he doesn't talk about what he does. He simply pushes information. He is a distributor of information. He could be thought of as a hub, but not really. A hub in a sort of sense is where you're connecting other people, you're bridging, you're crossing. What Denis does is produce volumes of curations, spits them out there for everybody to enjoy. He grew his follower base that way. I've never seen him post anything asking for anything back. It's always simply been to help others. And so Alex and I were like, well, either the guy, is independently wealthy and has all the time in the world to do this, or he's really poor and has all the time in the world to do this. Either way, he's got a lot of time to do this. We don't know what Denis does. Let's find out more about him. And the reason we wanted to find out more was because this is what it's about. It's go learn about the person, right? And if we can't find all we want to know about that person from their Google Plus profile, we do what Denis has been telling us to do for at least a year and a half. Just Google it. That used to be his Google Plus cover. It said, I don't know, just Google it. And I wish I had a shot of that because it was a great, simple cover. Well, Denis, we did. And here's what we found out. So the first thing we discovered was that you've got a twin. Now, I don't know where this came out, but somewhere, Alex, I think you mentioned it to me. But
Yeah, well, because I did my own search a while back because I was just, I don't know, when I started talking to him, I got curious, and he, when I meet people in Plus, I'm very thorough about, gleaning information from their posts. And in one of his posts, he mentioned that he was a twin. I was like, sweet. All right. So I went looking for his twin in Plus.
Exactly. Thank you. And we found Serge. And Serge Labelle is a little more forthcoming about what he does. Serge works for this company. And I'm going to have to lean in to see how to pronounce it, but it's the Kuntsu Social Media Business Agency. But there's some other interesting things on this shot, right? It says Olympic coach in athletics, 1992 Barcelona, 1996 Atlanta, Cirque du Soleil. All right, well, that's freaking sweet. So what does that have to do with anything? Social media company, it's got something to do with sports. Okay, so I went and checked out the company. And here's what we found. Denis Labelle. So I went and found that website. So Akuntsu is their social media agency, their business. This is what they do. And then I was like, where in the world did I get that name? So I plugged that into Wikipedia. That turns out to be the name of a tribe from somewhere that has been in isolation for ever and was just recently discovered or brought out of isolation. So very interesting choice in name for their agency. But the other thing we discovered, of course, right, Alex, was who we are, and Denis is listed right there as the CEO of Akuntsu social media agency. So now we know a little bit more about Denis, and you can read his bio in there if you want. I would just check it out. But we really didn't want to do this for any other reason to say thank you, Denis, for everything you give to other people. I don't really think you need our press, you don't need our PR, and it certainly doesn't seem like you need our business. But thank you. And now we know a little bit more about you. The real point there is that this is what it's about. Discovering the people behind the businesses, discovering the people that we're making connections with. Because even when we're connecting business to business, it's really just person to person with a point. All right. Alex, you want to say anything more to this?
No, I just get really curious about people. So, just a warning to all of you out there, if you don't have a lot in your bio and I'm communicating with you, I'm gonna go looking for information. That's what Todd posted a comment. He's like, "Uh-oh, Alex is gleaning." I was like, "Curiosity has yet to kill this cat."
Oh, don't worry, Todd. We haven't even begun recon on you, my friend. But you've got so much stuff out there, it's pretty easy to find. Right? It's you don't hide anything. Where are we at? It's 2:44. We may actually end up on time with this show, which was kind of the goal.
Yes.
That's really the goal. This is the next thing we got going down. I had a transition created for this, and then Wirecast crashed, and I couldn't put it back together in time. We're going to answer Ronnie Bincer's question that he asked me earlier. This is the question. It's too small on my Wirecast monitor, so I can tell you. But basically, what we're talking about here is I had posted about the... I was one of the few lucky ones to actually get in early on the announcement that the Google Plus post ads were now connectable to Hangouts On Air. Generally, I don't get the jump on that information, so I picked it up, and Ronnie Bincer thanked me and reshared it, and there was a little conversation. The conversation... the question he asked, which was cool, was about this is going to make things more complicated, isn't it? And he's absolutely right. It makes things more complicated. There's a lot more possibilities for what you can do with a Hangout on Air, especially now that you can click it into the AdWords universe. Now, there's already some confusion about how you take that Hangout on Air and make it an AdWords post. But what we're talking about here is the bridging of the AdWords ad network, which is really what Google is. Okay, we talk about Google search, but Google is an ad network. Taking our Hangouts on Air and using them as the landing page. That's what people get when they click on an ad from the AdWords network. That's powerful. And Ronnie's question was, what are the implications here, right? What does this do to the coordination between AdWords and an HOA, and how are business owners able to do this? And you know, is this something that can be done for the small guy, the small business owner? And I know Ronnie was looking for specific examples and ways, and I'm going to get into that, but we have to start with the basics, my favorite thing ever. So give me a second. Let me pull up my notes, because again, I didn't have this organized in the best of ways. You guys can see them much bigger than I can on the screen. So what we're looking at here is, I decided to call this things to consider, because with AdWords coordination, the first thing you have to understand is AdWords, if you do not understand how it works, will suck your money faster than anything else ever. Okay, so be warned. AdWords is designed to take your money. And if you go in there and do not do due diligence to understand how it functions, or hire an expert to walk you through that, you will lose your money fast. Okay? Because it takes targeted ads with good copy, with keywords, keyword space in there. There's a lot of effort that goes into doing AdWords correctly. And for business owners that jump in and try to start and just dive into it, you're going to lose a lot of money. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to blame it on AdWords, and then you're not going to try it again. So that's my first thing is before you go into any of this, make sure you understand how AdWords works. Make sure you have a pot of money to spend in your first month because it's going to go away. And then find an expert to help you, or else you're just going to lose your pot of money quick. So that's the first complication this makes is for business owners that have never touched the AdWords interface, but you've been messing around with the Hangout interface and trying to grow your audience. All right, just caution. Right, my suggestion is to hone your show and your content first. Get educated about how Hangouts work at the base level. Understand and master them. Ronnie Bincer can take care of that for you. All right. There are many levels to reaching a point where you can do this right, especially as a solo guy. And I'm going to reference Dan McDermott just in the fact that he does his own show, takes care of everything with that show. But if you've ever seen his setup and what he's got to take care of to run that show, it's insane. So if you're looking at doing something with Hangouts, making it a production-worthy thing, and then using it in the AdWords interface, don't even think about the plus ad. Don't even think about the AdWords ad yet, because you've got a lot of work to do to get something worthy of being advertised. Right? And that's not an insult. I'm not knocking your product. I'm just saying you're better off making sure you've got your shit together with your Hangout and your show or your content before you even touch the ad. AdWords is not a DIY thing, in my opinion. Right? The HOA activity, if you are solo without third-party software, good luck. Okay? In my opinion, there are very few people who can do it. I couldn't do it on my own unless I'm running a straight HOA. I'm not doing any production. I've just got talking heads. And if you're doing that, it's not going to do so well. If you're doing that and you're going to advertise on it, that's not best practice. I actually don't suggest it. You're just going to waste some money. Okay? You might get some clicks because it's a novelty, but I don't want to click on an ad and see talking heads babbling back and forth with an open conversation. All right? So what we currently do with Hangouts on Air right now, what the majority of the shows are, just kind of an open conversation with the point of a subject. Don't waste your money on that in the ads. Don't. That's not a good thing to do with them. All right. Planning and processes. You have no idea what it takes for Alex and I to put together a Wednesday show each week. It's hours and hours of effort. Right? Granted, it's an hour-long show. There's a lot of segments. There's a lot of stuff going on. I don't even feel right now that the show as we have it is worthy of being advertised in AdWords. I wouldn't put money on it. There's polish we have to do. There's segmenting we have to do. There's a lot of stuff we have to do before I would put money on this show in an advertising space. Okay? It's much better for us to grow it organically right now, make our mistakes, and work out the kinks. So that brings me to the next piece of this, and that is, if you want to do this at all, start with very, very small Hangouts. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, right? Create a series of questions or schedule a Hangout in advance and say, I'm going to address these 3 questions, right? Bring audience members in. I'm getting ahead of myself here, but Ronnie asked for information about how does this change the process? What are the possibilities? How do we collaborate? How do we use this to our advantage, right? The first thing you need to do is encapsulate it in something small, right? I don't want to watch something that's not produced that goes on and on and on and on and on. It's a commercial. It's an advertisement. How long do regular advertisements generally last? A minute? 30 seconds? 3 minutes at the most, right? That's almost like an infomercial. And if you're going to go on longer than 3 minutes and you're going to you make it an advertisement, then it better have production value. See where I'm going here? So if you want to try this, make sure you've got solid content that doesn't last any longer than 5 minutes. Make it a QA, get live audience members into it, and there's your incentive right away, right? This is going to be advertised in broadcast. We'd like people involved. Keep it small. When you want to move into how to do this for yourself without anybody else, right? Alex takes care of comments, and she's looking at that. I'm looking at like 6 different screens right now and what I need to take care of. For you in your Hangout show, the 5-minute version of it, you at least need one other person to help manage what you've got going on. If it's your wife, if it's your kid, if it's your business partner, whatever, but you need one other person to help mitigate and moderate and deal with that, all right? Because you're going to have comments coming in, and you're going to be you doing your show, all right? Very few people can do it, manage all of this at the same time. I've got a long list here. I'm going to try to get through it as fast as I can. If you're start with a scheduled Hangout on Air event, right? That's the first thing you're going to broadcast. Don't even think about getting into third-party applications. Keep calm. One of the hardest things to do is remain calm, and Alex can tell you that I suck at it. And when we were having problems with Wirecast earlier before the show, I mean, literally 10 minutes before the show, it crashes. Right? I started to get upset, was about to scream and yell, and I was like, stop. If I do that, I'm going to be a wreck when we start. So you have to remember to keep calm, and remember that the tech is going to do what it does. The better educated you are about that tech, the faster you'll be able to resolve issues. I can't say enough how important it is to be educated. And I'm not trying to, push Ronnie's courses on you or his community on you or any of the people that we talk about in here, Martin Shervington, it doesn't matter. You really do need to take the time to get educated. This is not like buying a mobile phone and going, great, I can push buttons. It's complicated shit. And you need to start with the basics. If you have not really gone through your Chrome browser in a long time to understand how a browser works today, there are probably 500 new buttons and features that have come on since the last time you checked. Learn how to use your browser. Make sure you're comfortable with all of the services at a master level before you even go into coordinating advertisements and your Hangouts on Air. Then go look at what the big boxes are doing. The big boxes are putting together engagement advertisements, right? You're watching a mini show where somebody's being helpful. They're pushing their brand for the most part. So they're not using it for direct sales. If you're going to use it for direct sales, then you have to really decide, do I want engagement in this, or am I just pushing out a video that I made in a Hangout? All right. You got to understand what you're trying to do with this. When you're talking about coordination with the ads, you can do a number of different things. You can run ads before your show to promote it, drive it to a landing page, and this is part of the other coordination aspect. I would embed your event, if you're doing a live event, I would embed that on a landing page on your website, and that is where I would drive ads. That's where you want people to be. If you watch Yifat Cohen's older shows, she doesn't drive people to the event page in YouTube or in Google+. She drives people to a landing page on her website where she has sponsorship and information below the event for what she's trying to get across. If there's a product that she wants people to buy or that she's promoting or referencing, it's right there in the Hangout. So that's what you should really be doing, is driving people to a landing page on your website with these events. Because then, even if it's just a canned piece from you that you recorded using a Hangout on Air or an interview and answer question with one of your business partners, it doesn't matter. It's there. It's where it needs to be. It can be canned. I can open it like an advertisement, and it's going to make sense to me. But if I open up the middle of a live show and all I'm seeing is heads bouncing back and forth talking about a subject, you just wasted my click-through. I'm just going, what the hell is this? And I'm going to be gone. All right. So that's my suggestion with that, is run ads to promote before, use a landing page, and make it an incentive. You've got all sorts of incentives you can do with this. You can tell people, submit a question beforehand and it'll get you a chance to get into the Hangout. Or everybody that does this will get this. That's the basic tenet of social media. Reshare this, like this, plus this, do something with this, we'll give you this. We'll mention you in the Hangout. We'll bring you into the Hangout. You have an opportunity with the Hangout to offer something that other people can't do for themselves. You can give them exposure, broadcast exposure. So use the Hangout as an incentive to bring people to it. But you're going to have to give them some good content and a tease and a hook. This is advertising, right? So you need to write headlines. I don't want to read a big, long, giant, statement about why you're doing this. Think advertising, think sponsors, think what headlines on newspapers do. You kind of have to change your mentality when you're advertising with AdWords on this, because in Google Plus we spend so much time talking about content and the depth and the quality and how good it needs to be, but this is advertising. It's not about giant in-depth content. It's about headlines and sublines and taglines that sell, that interest, that appeal, that drive me into clicking on that. All right, so you've got to change your mentality there. I would run different ads the day of the show as opposed to prior. I would run a live ad during your event, right? Because you can segregate that, you can set that. All of this depends on your knowledge of AdWords, how it functions, or the fact that you hired somebody else. Again, I suggest you hire somebody else. AdWords is complicated. It just is. Few more things. These are just a few of the possibilities. And I actually had a different slide here. Give me 1 second. Let me pull it up here. Bam. What are the possibilities? Some of the possibilities that you can do here are little 5-minute shows. Chunks of a hangout. It's literally just vlogging with an audience. You book it ahead of time and say, hey, I'm going to do a 5-minute talk about this. I'd like 2 audience members for questions. Sign up here. You'll be on the show. Okay? That's a great way to keep it small and get people interested. Sales events, special offers. That's an easy way to keep something small. Just do a hangout real quick and say, hey, everybody, we're selling this next Friday. It's 50% off of everything. Come down to our store. Right? If you can get engagement around that, that's great. I think what I'm trying to say here is that in order to use a live show to your advantage with AdWords, you're going to have to take the time to make your show more than an unscripted talking head conversation. Okay? And when you go that road, now you have to look at third-party applications. You have to start looking at Hangout production, which is what we do. So, in my opinion, in order to use Hangouts on Air and really get a massive value out of them through the Google AdWords interface, you need to go beyond an unscripted hangout and take the time to plan and produce a show. Whether it's a 5-minute sales show or a 30-minute engagement show, it's going to require planning and processing and production beyond what you're used to doing. One question, one answer. That's a simple one. 3-minute QA, 5-minute interview. These things can all be done in one really long hangout and then chopped up. This is another way to utilize the Hangouts. So Ronnie, I didn't really answer your question. I got to be honest. I did a terrible job of answering your question because what I realized as I went down the road, and there's so much more here I didn't even say, is that before you start talking about how to use AdWords with Hangouts on Air, you really need to redefine that hangout in terms of an advertising space. And I think that's exactly what Google is asking us to do. They don't know what we're going to do with it. They're waiting to see. So we'll be messing with it as soon as we have 1,000 subscribers to our brand page. Right, Alex? So that's what it takes. It takes 1,000 subscribers. And that's all I have to say about this. The potential is huge. The potential is super huge. But it's going to take production and planning and processing and an education level, understanding how these things function. So, yeah, terrible answer to your question, Ronnie. But what it is a giant rabbit hole into this world of web broadcasting. And it's awesome. You want to say anything to that, Alex? Probably not.
No, you just like totally lost me, to be honest.
That's
I was just like, plus post ads, businessy crap. Don't care.
It's actually super, super powerful. But as I started looking at what to do with it, standard ads right now. Go to a canned video, go to a landing page, go to a text ad, go to something that it's really designed for direct sales. Hangouts could be used in that way, but they're so much more powerful than a direct sales tool, right? I mean, the direct sales tool is like the add-on. So, Ronnie was like, what are the possibilities, what you can do? How about the coordination? Like, shit, I don't know. We are just now starting to figure out that, because we just now got to the point where our show is something that we can hang advertisements on, something we can deal with, right? But it took this long to get the show figured. Right? So,
Right.
If you think Google Plus is huge and incomprehensible and still crazy, don't even look at this world yet, the advertising world with Hangouts, because I honestly don't think Google really knows what can be done or what should be done or what is expected to be. I don't. I think that's for us to find out. So there, damn it. Anybody stick around long enough to listen to all that crap? Is there any comments? Or did I bore the hell out of everybody?
I mean, Todd has been in a private message. He was just like, and AdWords. I was like, yep. Uh, Nick said, my show, when I actually put them out, is definitely not conversational. I put together a full script for every person on my show, and I usually have assigned reading to people on my panel. That is a whole lot of work, Nick. And I something to know about Nick Cardot. He is a student.
Cool.
Yeah, but I'm like, how are you doing this while you're a student? Man, you're making me look like a slacker. But yeah, and I'm trying to convince him. He said something really nice about this. I've been having conversations with these two people for a while. He basically he was like, how do you have so few viewers? This show is cool.
Oh,
is it always the two of you, or are any guests on this show? We're trying, and I told him in the comments, we're trying to produce enough viewers to get a live audience in that can come in and out, but we don't have enough viewers at this point. And if you watch our Friday show, that is when we do the specific interviews. So,
yes.
And that one we kind of like we're living off of the fame of our interviewees.
Yeah, there you go. Literally, this was supposed to have a live audience. As we started producing the show and getting into Wirecast and the broadcasting aspects, I got lost with the tech, honestly, and kind of forgot the point of having the engagement. And with everything that Alex and I have had going on in so many different worlds, both personally and business-wise, and those of you who know us and know some of those things are where it hasn't been the funnest of times. Anyway, we have plans to add that back in, but it takes different graphic sets. It takes more gear. I'll be honest, I don't have enough gear to do what I need to do to bring in the audience like I want. And I need time. I need time to coordinate the third-party app business hangouts so that I can bring in a lot more people into a hangout. I need to figure out how I take business hangouts and wrap that inside frames with Wirecast and broadcast all of it. And that's some pretty complicated shit, honestly. What we're doing right here is a hangout that's not on air, privatized with, I'm looking at 3 computers, Alex has a computer there. It's complicated. I want to bring the live audience back. I miss it. Honestly, when we do that, we're going to need another person to just man the audience, because Alex and I are not going to be able to do it. And this is part of the issue of scalability here. I mean, most of the productions that are being done, and Dan McDermott, you don't count. You're like I don't know how you do what you do with your all by yourself. You're insane, man. But you think of real productions on networks, old school networks, and there's teams of 30, 40 people behind the host, right? Executive producers and engineers, and they're sitting behind billions of dollars worth of gear too. Right? we're trying to do this at an economy of scale. We're trying to bring it down, but the problem is finding that balance between quality and technology and engagement and everything. And there isn't a single company that has all of these put together. There are companies out there that are doing a really good job of producing shows, a really good job of doing this for other people and bringing in the audience. They're also charging a lot of money, and we're trying to bring it down to a different level. So, Nick, I'd love to have you on the show, and I'd love to bring more audience into the Friday show. I just have not had the time to figure out how to make it work. And Alex can attest to how many times I have said, "Oh, I could set it up this way. Oh, shit, I could configure it this way." Well, what do I mean, Alex? Literally, I mean, right? There's.
Yeah, it keeps changing, and then like some of the changes we can't do because we don't have the technology, because right now we don't have the funding. It's like this infinite loop of, if we had the funding and we could buy the technology and we could be, we could do better things. We need to get the funding. We need to do better things. Well, we can't do the better things without funding. It's it's been tricky, but I think I might have convinced Nick to be on one of our Friday shows.
Sweet.
So, yeah, to talk about education.
Oh, all right. Well, good. I also have to say that I apologize deeply and publicly to Kathleen Colvin, who got bumped off of this Friday for Craig and Chris show. Kathleen was supposed to be our guest. It's totally cool. She's totally cool with it. But we need to bring her back on after Amaryland, because I was supposed to interview her this Friday, and I told her that like weeks ago and never told you. So
Yeah,
schedules and coordinations,
that would have been good to know, because both Craig and Chris were like in our dialogue in a plus post. Like Craig was like, "Can you do which ones of those can you do, Chris?" And Chris was like, "I can do all of them." Craig was like, "Sweet, you have no life like me." And Chris was like, "Yep." So really, I could have chose any. I just chose the one that was soonest. Sorry about that, Kathleen. It's John's fault.
It's totally my fault. It's completely my fault. I apologize. But that's good. That's all right. So, sorry, I lost my place. What a fun day this has been. Yesterday, I just got to say this. Yesterday was the girlfriend Lori's birthday. So her birthday is Earth Day, which is really cool. And we always buy a tree. We got this really cool one with a crazy name. It's a crazy name of this tree. Four-word name for this tree. It sounded like an operating system or a virus. And then I made her a pineapple upside down cake. I do all the baking and cooking here for the most part. And it came out very well. That is one of those old school recipes from like the, 20s, 60s, whenever they came out. Absolutely nothing in it that's good for you, and oh my god, does it taste so good. Might be vegan.
I don't like hot fruit. Fun fact about Alex, I don't like hot fruit. I can't do like pineapple upside down cake. I can't do like apple pie.
You don't like hot fruit?
I know.
That's one of the strangest things I've ever heard of in my life.
My fruit has to be fresh. Damn it! I can't do lumps in my yogurt either. Okay, here's the weird. Say that again. Here's the weird. Here's the weird thing. I can't do lumps in my yogurt because it reminds me of puke. But here's the thing. Here's the funny thing. If I cut up the fruit myself and then put it in the yogurt, I'm okay. I just can't buy the pre-packaged fruit in the yogurt because then it's lumpy. It's not like I'm weird about food.
You are 24. And this old man is going, you and your pickiness with your vegan food and your weird hot fruit issues.
I know. Everybody's like, you don't eat apple pie. I'm like, no, I'm sorry.
But you could do a lemon meringue because it's cold.
Well, and because it's not the actual,
so it's
fruit. Like, I can do, if it's like lemon flavored something, I'm okay because it's not the actual lemon. But if it was like hot lemon slices, ew.
Hot lemon slices, yeah, because that's
wrong. It's probably from growing up in Hawaii. I'm used to fresh fruit. We don't do I've never had a fruit cake.
Well, nobody likes fucking fruit cake, okay? That's weird. But fruit cake just exists so people can give it as a gag gift. Actually, it's a Pantone roll. That's candied fruit. That's different. All right. Anyway, look, we're at 3:12.
I know. And we're talking about hot fruit. That's just went
This
so off track.
this is where the show gets good, people. This is why we run on longs, because any of the content we actually worked on is, whatever. It's the bullshit we talk about, like hot fruit, that actually runs the show and keeps it going. So, outstanding. Yep. What else? We've got to do the communication connection, right?
Yeah. I think that's where we are.
Do you have one?
I do. Hey, now, there's always a communication. I mean, you totally threw me a curveball with the post ads stuff, but I think my communication connection is still relevant. I'm just gonna roll with it.
Good. I'm sorry I didn't talk about Sugru.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm just gonna roll with it, which it was really funny. Lee Smallwood was like, "That's what you do, Alex," and like immediately, what pops in my head? They see me rolling. They hating, patrolling. It's just like so wrong.
Yes.
So wrong.
Yes, it is.
Okay, let's move on to the communication connection.
No.
Now that just happened.
You can't yet. Hang on. I actually have the transition for that. You have to let me run the transition first.
Okay.
Okay. As soon as I find it. I was all ready. I was seriously ready with this. Then you can talk. Okay, here we go. And now it's time for the communication connection. How it all comes together with Alex. That's your cue.
Now I can talk.
Yes.
Okay, so my communication connection today is talking about the connection between online and offline relationships. What we see in Google Plus is very different from what a lot of research finds. In Google Plus, we really defend this idea that our online connections are really that important to us, that we do create these researchers distinguish usually between weak ties and strong ties. You can probably guess what the two are. The weak ties are kind of more, acquaintances. They're people that we talk to every now and then. The strong ties are people that we truly rely on, that we truly believe are family and friends. And according to research, a lot of researchers say that strong ties generally are not developed online. That is not, most of the strong ties that you have online are with people that you have already developed relationships with offline. So my question for you is, do you think that we can take these online relationships, develop these strong ties, and then eventually merge the online and offline relationships? Like if you saw our Friday show last week, John Almirall does, he does his online relationships and his offline relationships he's an author, so he himself is his business, but he takes these two avenues to create this collection of readers and connections to help himself in his business, and just for, he makes lightsabers, so people think he's cool.
I think he's cool for reasons besides that. Okay, I mean,
Yeah, no, he's cool. He finds funny stuff. I talked to him about superheroes. It was great. But what I really want to know is, how is there really power, do you think, in building online relationships? Because research up till now has said no, the power is in the offline relationships, and you'll use more avenues to communicate with those strong ties that you've developed in offline relationships. So like your mom, you'll use multiple different ways to communicate with her, whereas weak ties, you tend to use one, like, you're my Facebook friend, that's it, that's the only place I talk to you. So when you're thinking about people in Google Plus, do you just talk to them in Google Plus, or do you talk to them in multiple circumstances, including, have you met some of these people offline that you originally met online? Just something to think about, because no research has been done yet on Google Plus, because honestly, still nobody cares about it in academia.
You could have. Had you not gone the what? Explain again to everybody why you did not choose Google Plus.
It's complicated, but for the most part, I am not doing my thesis. I could still do my dissertation if I decide to do a PhD, but I'm not doing my thesis on Google Plus because I go to a quantitative focused school. So the methods that they use are quantitative, which means things like surveys. And to do what I want to do with Google Plus, generally, which is a lot of people are going to be like, what? I'm really interested in the development of identity, impression management, and self-presentation in Google Plus. And and to do those types of studies, you really need to take a qualitative approach, which tends to be case studies. It tends to be interviews. And because my school is so quantitatively focused, I could do that, but I probably wouldn't graduate on time, and I would have to find a specific uh, professor to work with. So I was just like, nope, I'll do body image because it interests me too. So, and it's easier to do quantitatively.
Fine then. Fine. All right. I didn't mean to derail. Keep going. I just want everybody to know.
No, that's it. So my question for everyone out in Plus is, do you think that we're making a transition? Do you think that we're making a transition to you can develop these strong ties in online relationships? And thinking about that, think about the people that you've met in Plus. You just communicate with them in Plus. You only communicate with them through comments on posts or posting back and forth. Have you moved to talking to them in Hangouts? Have you done a face-to-face conversation with them? Do you talk to them in Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn? And have you made the full transition to meeting them offline if you have the chance?
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm glad you made Hangouts another level, right? Because all of the, I mean, you said nobody done a study on Plus. Other people have done study on the value between offline and online networking, right? Just in general. But none of them included video conferencing or the Hangout concept, right? Because that's all relatively new.
Well, there have been a couple of studies on face to, is that what it's called? It's
FaceTime?
like yeah,
Yeah.
FaceTime. Some studies have been done on, but it's not self-presentation. They look at just communication practices using FaceTime and whether they look at like the development of relationships in using FaceTime, but all of the people that use FaceTime use it with people that they knew previously.
Right. Right.
So it's a different concept.
Totally. That was, yeah, that's like closed network communication, right? And
Yeah.
Hangout is a completely open network communication, as open as you want it to be. And so I think Hangout fundamentally changed the concept of the video conference. I mean, it truly is it's beyond the Jetsons, right? In the, oh, look, I can call my boss and we can have a video call. It's beyond that. Now it's, you know, how many people do you want in the conversation? It's different. It's you and I have seen it with business. So I think there's a completely different step there, and I do think offline that I think we are in a shift, but I don't think it's a shift from one to the other. I just think it's a melding of the two. I don't think we're going to call them online and offline anymore in a while. I think is what I'm saying. No. But I'm sure your communications people will have to differentiate in some way. So
Yeah, they tend to. I mean, it gets very complicated, and I could talk about it forever, but we are way over
I
time.
know. All right. I know. We're way over time, and you are like at death's door. You are so tired, poor girl, working your ass off between all the things you've got going on and getting no sleep. For everybody who doesn't know, Alex not only does SEOWiSE and works her butt off on that, she is a teacher, so she's teaching classes, and she is a grad student, so she's taking classes. All of this has to happen, and then somewhere in there, she's supposed to have a life. And I know she's got a boyfriend, and I've seen pictures of friends. Have no idea when they actually spend time with her. So this is Alex, and as far as 24-year-old individuals go, I wish I had had this kind of ability and energy and had my shit together at 24. Yeah, I just had to say those things. She's wonderful. I had to say that. All right. We should
Well,
probably end the
thank
show.
Yeah, we probably should. But it's funny that you mentioned that because Nick was Nick was like, "Wait, Alex, are you SEO wise?" I was like, "Yeah, I function as like four different things in plus." Not to confuse you. I'm me. I'm SEO wise. I'm glass in class. I
Yeah, yeah.
If it sounds like me, it's probably me.
We are a lot of things, and we've done a terrible job at branding those, haven't we? Thank you, Todd, because Todd's really the one helping us with that. Okay, so there's no Glass in the Class tomorrow. Glass in the Class is done. We've got Friday with Craig and Chris. It's going to be awesome. We've got next week with David. Who's
Is
Friday?
David next week?
We have David
I
Amlin
don't.
coming up again.
Is he already? It's either no. It's
No, who is it?
I thought no. I think it's like 2 weeks out.
We'll figure it out. Maybe we don't have anybody for next Friday. Maybe that's Kathleen. I don't know. Alex is supposed to have a schedule. Not like she has
Am
anything else
I?
to do.
There's a calendar.
Oh, the calendar,
I
whatever.
just don't have it open.
All right. Well, to Nick and everybody and Todd and thank you guys. It's a great show. We'll see you this Friday with Craig and Chris and next Wednesday. Bye.